Let me know if you guys can hear me now. Sorry, I wasn't talking for a while. You should be able to hear me now. And how does my screen look? I know everything's kind of chopped up. I'm on my laptop. I want to make sure you guys can see the chat and the main part of the screen. Awesome. Awesome, guys. Let's see who's all in here. It's going to get a few minutes, let everyone join, and then we'll get started. What's going on, Brian? 6 Coffee 9, Sod, Bundy, Matthew, Sirach, Peak Within, Luca, Shogun, Ram Power, Merge, DP, Osdeal, Akshay, Eduardo, Robin, Unknown, Carlos, Jackanger, Merge, Eduardo, Mess, Crypto Casting, Anas, Lego. A lot of good people in here, guys. A lot of familiar faces. Sparakos, good to see you as always. Sage, Elvin, Mez, Riadel, awesome. A lot of good people in here, guys. Hope you guys are having a great Friday wherever you at. I know that everyone's always excited whenever the weekend is coming. Have some good time with friends and family, especially with this volatile market, guys. I don't know about you, but this market has rocked me a little bit the past couple weeks. And the swings that we've had, the flushes, the pumps, the dumps, etc. And that's why I strictly focus on the data. And I'm not being emotional about it. And I'll show you guys in the charts as well during the stream what I'm looking at, the potential catalysts that we have upcoming, some news articles that came out today, the comments between Trump and President Xi of China, the Russia-Ukraine war, like everything, guys. We're going to go over all of it to make sure you guys understand everything as clearly as possible and why we've had all of these flushes. Andruha says, short stream, crypto's over, now everyone needs to find a job. There you go. McDonald's is hiring, Andrea. Better get in there before the spots fill up. Elvin says, what's up, CD? Good to have you here. Let's see, a couple other. Ethereum is up until where? I'm thinking Ethereum goes to all-time highs still, Carlos. But actually, guys, no, this is not Luke Azamaz. My name is John Luke. We sound similar, but we're different people. Trust me, you're only the 200th person to ask. Don't worry. But also, guys, let's take a quick poll. This is something I did in my last live stream. Let me know. Okay, let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. Give me a number 1 if you think... Okay, hold on. Give me a number 0 if you think that we've topped out this cycle. If you think Bitcoin is topped, type 0 in the chat. If you think we haven't topped and Bitcoin still makes new all-time highs, give me a 1 in the chat. So 0 if you think we've topped for this cycle. 1 if you think we still have much higher to go. Let me see where everyone's out. Okay, a lot of people think we topped this cycle. Okay, Shogun 1, Cena 1. Okay, Dark Moon. Okay. Seeing more 1s than 0s right now. Okay, Damien. Okay. It looks like we have about 75% of people who think we still have higher to go. 25% who thinks we have topped. Okay, guys. Now, for people that think we've topped, tell me the reasoning why you think we've topped. Because I like to see both sides here. And if this is a thought experiment, I want us to look at both sides. Why do you think we've topped for people that have put 0? Do you think it's because of the 4-year cycle? Do you think because there's no more liquidity left? Do you think it's because we've reached mass euphoria, gold's pumping, and that's the last thing to pump, and then we drop? What do you think is the reason why we have topped out? Again, I like to see both sides. I'm 50-50 here. Champ says, have we topped? Arthur Hayes says we don't top till Trump is out of office. That's a big statement there. Next year, people are saying we're going to top. Hey, Hootie, what's going on? Hope you're having a blessed Friday as well. Andrea says, reason is everything has a cycle. It's healthier to pull back. So Andrea is of the volition that standard 4-year cycle, and we're going to pull back just like normal, which, again, I can see, Andrea. I know a couple of top traders who think we've topped as well. So I'm not saying we haven't. Andrew Tate says Bitcoin back to 26K. That's pretty, that's interesting there. Manish says U.S. is making it digital gold and as a reserve. Okay. Greenland, Fed will lower rates equals more liquidity. There you go. BlackRock staking on October 30th. Rate cuts this year. Trump won't let the market go down for his reputation. Okay. Good argument for a reason why we have not topped. Uncle Mick says, I think we're still going higher as institutions are coming in and trying to play with our minds. Sirach says, I think it's just a liquidity sweep. Bounce from here. Ram Power says, broke the daily trend. 4-year cycle reached 1,064 to 5 days. So Ram Power, yes, that's a big reason why a couple top traders think we've topped, because of the 4-year cycle. And we can't ignore that, okay? Granted, this time could be different, but I want you guys to start getting in the mindset of being unbiased and thinking if we have topped, start looking for more shorts or start scalping on these longs and not have that hodl mentality, okay? You got to be able to consider both sides and decide what side is going to be more advantageous risk reward wise. And technically, like Rand Power was saying, we broke a daily trend line. So if we can get back above that, we could switch back to bullish bias. But until then, we need to keep track of both sides, guys. And that's a big thing I want to say. That's why I had this thought experiment, because I want people to not only think of absolutes. The market goes in uptrends and it goes in downtrends, okay? It doesn't always go up only, even in a bull market. And so if we've broken major trend lines, your goal should be waiting until we break back above those trend lines and get into an uptrend. And that's what I'm playing right now. And I'll show you guys a couple big important trend lines and EMAs that you need to watch out for us to be more bullish bias again. Robin says, John, open a copper and gold chart. We're close to a bottom. There you go. Okay, remind me, Robin, in about 15 minutes to open up that gold, copper and gold, and I'll do that when I go over the TA portion. Managed says 86K. Raul, what do I think about Aster? Aster, I'm 50-50 on it. They had a nice bounce today from the $2 level, but I'll go over that chart as well. Time to buy silver. Ben, I do agree silver is on a big run. Let's see. Christian says 4-year cycle is in. Yeah, if we follow the standard 4-year cycle, we've topped out already. But let's see, guys. My big argument against why we've topped, against why we've topped is because the interest rate cuts have been shifted to the right. We were supposed to cut rates in July. Now it's in September. Now the cycle is technically based off of monetary policy and global liquidity. So if everything is shifted to the right 3, 4, 5 months, does that mean the cycle now is shifted to the right 3, 4, 5 months? You see what I'm saying? And so that's my argument why we have not topped. Now, while we have topped, that could be because of the 4-year cycle, because we're in a downtrend, etc. Okay? So again, I'm being unbiased here, but I have to provide you guys both sides. Otherwise, I'd be doing you a disservice if I'm saying up only all the time. Okay? Got to look at both sides here. I'm still not fully bearish, but I'm not fully bullish either. I'm being objective. I'm looking at the market accordingly. Scalping, exactly, right? Scalping is the name of the game right now. So I'll go ahead and double check a couple of these charts, guys, and let you know what I am thinking here. So with that said, let's go ahead and go over the markets. So right now we have liquidations at 920 million. Now we did get above $1 billion last night and we had another flush. And the biggest thing with those flushes is you need to consider, one, how many people are getting liquidated. So that's where we always look for at least $1 billion in liquidations. Usually means the bottom is in within 1 to 3 days. A local bottom, okay? This isn't a cycle bottom, this is a local bottom. So we could still drop more after the short bounce. But the fact that we did get over 1 billion liquidations is a good sign for at least longs getting exhausted, and now it's back to the upside. Okay, so that's something to watch out for. Next, let's go ahead and look at the liquidation levels. So currently on the 24-hour, there's still a little liquidity cluster near 104.2K. If we do have another drop, this is where I would expect some type of support, maybe near here, near 103.5K. So this is the level I would look for longs potentially if we do have another flush. Now, the big thing to watch out for is on the higher time frames, it looks like we took a lot of liquidity to the downside. I mean, we do have a little bit here, 104K, but look how much is up here, near 114K. If we go to the 1 month, look how much liquidity was taken to the downside on the 1 month. All of this, right? There's hardly any liquidity left. But if you go to the upside, 114K. So that's something you guys need to keep in mind, is we do have a lot of liquidity to the upside still. So my target, let's just say we're technically still in a downtrend, my high price target would be 113.8K before we start declining again, okay? This is if we're, again, flush, come up again, flush. You see what I'm saying? That would be almost like a lower high at that point, this 113.8K. So remember, guys, if we want to shift into an uptrend again, close above 116K, things would start to get interesting there, above this high, this previous high, okay? But until then, we could just be making lower highs. And that's what we have to keep in mind. We have to be objective when we're watching this, and we are analyzing where we're at in the market. If we did top, we got to be able to shift bias, okay? So just looking at both sides here. But again, we will still be scalping longs and shorts. Now, there's a lot of news items. I'm not going to go over all of these because it's just way too much, especially in the past week. I'll go over the highlights, and then from there, we'll discuss some macro news, such as the S&P, gold, and the DXY. And then we'll go over the overview of the Fear and Greed Index, and then some technicals and ETFs as well. So Looking at, let's just go, obviously we had the big flush on October 10th. I know a lot of people were wrecked. I lost a good amount, but at the end of the day, it's part of the game, okay? You gotta be able to learn from your mistakes, guys. Now, what was the mistake on this flush? What was the mistake here? The mistake that most people made was not putting stop losses on their longs. Now, I get it. Some exchanges, the stop losses didn't trigger. But in that aspect still, were you overexposed? Did you put too much into leverage, right? Did you get overconfident? Did you not put stop losses? Did you think that 2x, there's no way 2x would get liquidated? And then the flush came and that was it. A leverage reset in the market. Which I do think that leverage reset was positive in a sense, just exposing how many people were leveraged long if we're going higher, okay? That's what they would do. They would leverage out, or they would flush out all of the longs, reset it, have a clean slate, and then from there, continue higher, okay? That is truly if they are starting to have a global financial system. They want to acquire as much cryptocurrency, as much Bitcoin and Ethereum as possible. They would flush out all of the leverage longs. They would manipulate it on centralized exchanges like Binance, and then from there, they would continue higher. That would be the playbook there. I'm not saying that's what's happening, but I'm saying that's what I would put my money on versus the alternative if we're starting a bear market now. But like I said, we're playing this level by level. And as we break above important trend lines, I'll start to change my bias. Right now, I am delta neutral. But like I said, if we start to break more bullish uptrends and start breaking key resistance levels, then I will start switching my bias to slightly bullish. Now, after this drop happened, a lot of different things happened, okay? You had the drama between China and Trump. So China blames Trump for the U.S. escalating the trade war. China says it will stand firm against tariffs. We do not want a tariff war, but we're not afraid of one. This caused more FUD in the market. After that, you had Trump saying, don't worry about China. It will be all fine. Xi Jinping doesn't want a depression for his country, and neither do I. Okay, there you go, right? There's still pressure on China and Trump. And guys, I'll also answer your questions. Don't worry. I'm just going to go over these news items, and then I'll answer some. Trump says tariffs on China are still the plan for November 1st. So guys, keep this on your calendar. November 1st is the date to watch. If Trump moves these tariffs up, if he moves them, let's say, to October 20th, probably going to be a flush in the market again. If he removes them completely, it's going to be a pump. If he comes to a peace deal with Russia-Ukraine, it's going to be a pump. So there's still some catalysts upcoming. Now, standard inverse Kramer saying we're back on October 12th only to drop a few days later. I mean, textbook, right? You can't write that any better. Inverse Kramer never fails to get it right. Also, you have gold. Gold has been accelerating higher. I mean, and now it's above 4,200. The thing with gold, guys, when it's rising, you have a distrust in central banks. You have a distrust in the system. You have people wanting to hedge against uncertainty in the market, hedge against inflation, and gold is the vehicle to do that. Now, with that said, I do think that money will eventually flow over to Bitcoin. If you look at the gold chart against Bitcoin, gold usually lags, or I should say Bitcoin usually lags about 100 days. Remind me if you could, let's go over the gold chart and overlay Bitcoin on it, and you'll see the delay that Bitcoin has versus gold. We'll look at that as well. Also, you had the ETF volume surpassing 1 billion in the first 10 minutes of trading. So again, when you look at ETF volume, guys, and let's just say you have over $1 billion of inflows for Bitcoin, if you have that multiple days in a row, that's a sign that a local top is in. Just like if you have nearly $1 billion of outflows with Bitcoin or Ethereum, then a local bottom is in. Okay, you got to be able to look at the data. That will help you remove emotions out of the equation. Also, you have China saying, if you wish to negotiate, our door remains open. So that's very good, at least. And again, there's some more positive things coming out this. Also, you have Elon Musk saying Bitcoin is based on energy. Governments can print fake money, but impossible to fake energy. So here's the thing, guys. Remember, Elon is still very, very pro-Bitcoin. And the biggest thing with that is he can still do a lot for cryptocurrency in the market in general. He can have Tesla accept Bitcoin for payments. He can incorporate X payments with cryptocurrency, right? For Dogecoin, Bitcoin, or other forms. So he can still have a lot of people adopting cryptocurrency. So don't forget about Elon, guys. He could come and have a white swan event if he starts really incorporating Bitcoin into his businesses. Also, you have Larry Fink saying that they're developing their own technology for the tokenization of assets. So very, very bullish on that. You also have MetaMask integrating the world's largest crypto prediction platform, Polymarket. So MetaMask now has added perpetuals through Hyperliquid and has integrated Polymarket. Guys, when the MetaMask token drops, it's going to be a lot of hype behind it. So keep that in mind. Also, you have President Trump and Xi Jinping scheduling a meeting to discuss trade, which is very, very good. That was a few days ago. And then also you have the government seizing $15 billion worth of Bitcoin from pig butchering scam based in Cambodia. Guys, this is big because you know the government's not selling their Bitcoin. So if they stockpile it, they just want more and more. Remember, their goal at the end of the day is to make cryptocurrency a global currency of the world and to own as much as they can. You don't think they're going to try to leverage that? The Trump family has made over $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, or has made over $1 billion in cryptocurrency so far in profits. You don't think they're going to continue to promote it and continue to form regulations that are conducive to the growth of the crypto market? Guys, they're already doing it as we speak. Now, Jerome Powell also said the economic growth before the government shutdown may be better than expected. Here's another thing, is the government shutdown is another FUD event, okay? The government shutdown, originally when it happened October 1st, people said that it was actually a bullish event, meaning that there was no really bearishness to it. Like, anytime the government shutdown has happened, the market has really bottomed around that time. And so, yes, while it has been fine, it hasn't really been an issue up until now, now the economy is starting to feel it. And now you're starting to see the negative effects of a government shutdown. So if the Democrats and Republicans can't come to an agreement, guys, we could start to see some more pressure on prices, on the stocks and in crypto. And here's my thesis. I believe towards the end of October, we will have a massive pump. I think that as we get closer to the October 29th date for the FOMC meeting, we're going to have interest rate cuts. I think that with the ETF, the Ethereum staking ETF for BlackRock, its deadline is October 30th. And it's literally the last time it can be approved or rejected. And so if the Ethereum staking ETF gets approved, guys, Ethereum is going to absolutely send. And so keep that in mind. If you can get Ethereum near 3,500, great price. Even near 3,700, not a bad price either. Also, you have Jerome Powell saying he'll not comment on Bitcoin or gold. We think inflation is driven by fundamental supply and demand factors. Very interesting comment there. You also have a few other comments like Treasury Secretary Bessent saying we're about to see a major gain in investment productivity and job growth across America. That was 2 days ago. So keep an eye on that. You also had Coinbase listing BNB. That was pretty comical there. And then Trump still doubling down on tariffs, saying if they don't have them, we don't have national security. Then also you had Trump saying the U.S. is in a trade war with China. And this is what caused the drop that we saw, guys. On October 15th, we saw a drop. Yes, it wasn't as intense as the drop that we saw on October 10th. But just yesterday, you saw how much a drop we had as well. So it's almost like a delayed effect. But I do think this may start to have a delayed effect, such as when China was saying they're banning Bitcoin. You remember that? Whenever China says they banned Bitcoin in 2017, 2018, 19, the market it had a diminished effect every time China said that. And so I could think that this whole tariff announcement, this trade war between China and the U.S., most likely will have a diminished effect. But I think now the fact that Trump and President Xi Jinping are starting to have talks again, then we could see that effect diminished. And here's where it says, Eric Trump says the Trump family made more than $1 billion from crypto, guys. I'm not sure why he said this. I think maybe he was having a euphoria moment. But the fact that Eric Trump is saying, the fact that Eric Trump is saying the Trump family's made more than $1 billion from crypto, like I said, shows how invested they are and how much they're going to continue backing the space. Here we go. On the 16th, China said it plans to work with the United States to find a solution on trade. Very good news there. Also, you had here Trump saying no when asked if China tariffs will stand. And then Trump saying we'll be fine with China. But also, you had the economic advisor Hassett saying we're not in a trade war with China. That's good. They readjusted their stance. And then the White House advisor Hassett says 3 Fed rate cuts would be a good start. Guys, if the Fed cuts rates 3 times, I mean, think about it. If the Fed ends quantitative tightening, because Jerome Powell said in his last economic speech a few days ago, they're looking to end quantitative tightening within the next few months. If they end quantitative tightening and the Fed's talking about cutting rates 3 times, you know how much liquidity is going to be injected into the economy? You know how much stimulus is going to happen? You know how much quantitative easing is going to happen in the economy? That's why my bet is that we're still a few months away from a cycle top. I think at the very least, we could see a top in December, end of December, okay? I'd be fine with that. I'd say, okay, top in December would make sense. Now, With that said, it's going to depend, again, on what the Fed does on the 29th and what the forecast is going, moving forward from there. If Jerome Powell is dovish with rate cuts and he wants to have multiple rate cuts and they wants to make them 50 basis points or more, guys, the market's going to pump like no other. That's going to be the white swan event we're looking for. Then we're going to see that stimulus and more capital injection into the economy. But if he does not, and if he only cuts it 25 basis points and says, we're still going to wait to see, still, we'll probably only do one rate cut for this year, the market's going to dump like crazy. Because people are expecting at least 2 rate cuts this year. And so that's something to watch as well. And then also we have, there you go. We also had Trump saying he could move up China's 100% tariff deadline from November 1st. Let's hope this doesn't happen. He's saying this as a negotiating tactic, okay? If he moves the tariff date up to, say, October 20th, that'd be very bearish. And at that point, you'll see another drop in the market. But I think Xi and Trump are still having talks. I think they'll come to a resolution. Keep an eye on the hyperliquid whale. Can someone in the chat link me the wallet address of the hyperliquid whale that actually shorted the market just before Trump made his tariff announcement on the 10th? Because that hyperliquid whale went from $80 million to over $190 million in profit on that drop. So if one of you guys could actually link that wallet, and then let's keep a track on that wallet and if there's any new ones that are created, because the big setting with that wallet was it was a new wallet that was created, and I believe the trade was open 30 minutes prior to Trump making the announcement. So guys, look for these whales making these large sells, shorts, or longs, okay? Because they are insiders. They could have ties to the Trump family. So keep an eye on that. But yeah, if someone could link that wallet, that'd be awesome. All right, with that said, let's go ahead and look at a few questions. Let's see. And let me go ahead and let me see how the screen looks real quick. Okay, screen's not bad. Good, good, good. Let's see. Okay, Zafir says the local taxi doesn't talk about Bitcoin yet. That's good. Local taxi man's not talking about it. JK Quant, I think it's all just noise. Sooner or later we'll be back. Yep. Eduardo says we'll hit 150K this year. Save this comment. I think we will too, Eduardo. I think we will too. Manish says scalp. Let's see. Radul says, do you think Pengu will pump? I think it will. Luca Net says Q4 should be good for it. And then Robin, so if Aster closes the daily below 119, I think that'd be a good shorting opportunity. Andruha says, don't get stuck being bull or bear. Make money both ways. We're here to make money. Exactly. And then we will make money, right? Shorting or longing, no matter what, we will make money. Ben says, I trust Cohen more than my dog. That's funny. Yeah, Benjamin Cohen's a great macro analyst. One of the best I know. DP, what do you think about XRP? I think you should wait for a long around 212. ACD, what do you think about Fartcoin? No thoughts on Fartcoin. If it's below 58 cents, then it's very, very bearish. So keep that in mind. So watch for that. And then what else? Hootie says Barron Trump making 190 mil profit on ETH short is crazy work for real. Hootie, did you confirm if it was Barron Trump's wallet? I know there was jokes about that, but did you ever confirm if that was actually Barron? Curious to see if it was. Champ, any new meta besides DEXs that are starting to brew? So Champ, for meta, I would say the prediction market platforms, those are starting to have increased traction. So remember, like I was saying, MetaMask, they partnered with Polymarket or integrated Polymarket. So yeah, the prediction market narrative is going to heat up. The ETF narrative is going to heat up because they remember the Ethereum staking ETF should get approved October 30th because it's BlackRock applying for it. And then I think Solana and then a few others, even Hyperliquid has an ETF as well. So ETF meta, RWAs potentially with BlackRock, that could also gain some traction. And then I would still probably AI. So remember Tau had its pump a week ago, and Tau was actually doing crazy. I think Tau subnets and then potentially some other AI tokens like World and a few others could gain some traction. But like I said, playing this, day by day, week by week, month by month until I get some confirmation. But those would probably be the ones that I'm focused on more so. Also, the restaking narrative. If the Ethereum restaking ETF gets approved, I'm assuming it will, then the restaking narrative like ETHFi, Lido, Athena, and a few others. Stablecoin restaking could gain some traction. Darian says, what's up, John Luke? Hope you're doing well. Thanks for the live. Hey, Darian, appreciate you. Hope you're doing good as well. Brian says, no stop loss. Yes, no stop loss wrecks people. Ciroc, is it true that BlackRock started selling their BTC? I'm sure they're selling and buying it in droves. They've done a lot of that over the past few months. And so I would, again, keep an eye on them, right? If they're continuing to sell and it's like a net sell and they're not buying anymore, then yes, I would definitely take caution with that. Vuzmuzi says, anything on the SMT between ETH and BTC? ETH higher low and BTC lower low? So that's interesting. If ETH is making higher lows, that could be the beginning of ETH outperforming. So look at the ETH BTC chart. And also, I'm going to look at that Bitcoin and gold. And I'm going to look at the copper and I think gold. I think it was Robin that reminded me to do that. Whoever reminded me about looking at the copper chart. I'm going to look at that later. Let's see. As long as Pengu can hold above 2 cents, that's going to be bullish. Let's see. The Hunt says... Let's see, wait. Muhammad says, hey, John Luke, what do you think about Polymarket? I mean, it's crazy valuation, how much they've raised so far. I think it'd probably be good to farm it. I know a lot of people are participating on the platform to farm it a little bit. That may not be a bad idea. The Hunt says, things are confusing now. There are signals that are signaling the bottom and the beginning of the bear market, but others just don't. Bear markets have never began during extreme fear, for example. You're right, The Hunt. They've never been within extreme fear, but also there is denial phases, you know what I mean? And so, or complacency shoulders, where you top out and then you have a small bounce, but then that's actually the top, and then you have a flush for the next couple of years. And so my thing is, guys, you got to be able to look at both sides here. I don't like being a bear at all, but I do like to be unbiased because that will basically allow you to make money on both sides if you're willing to short as well as long. And so I think that being able to look at both sides is what's going to make us money here. The Hunt says QE will begin in the next few months. Printing and rate cuts will fuel the markets. The government shutdown is bad in the short term, but historically after markets has gone up. Yeah, all true, The Hunt. All true. Champ says, do you think the U.S. government will take a stake in MSTR since it has a large Bitcoin treasury? Not sure on that. I know the U.S. bought Intel and a few other stocks. So whatever the U.S. invests in, imagine it's going to pump. Okay. Hunt says, no, the drop was caused by stupidity and technical issues. The news on tariffs just triggered the whole thing, but the long liquidation would have happened either way. Yep. Can't argue with that. IDL says, win XRP 589. That's hilarious. Dreamer, hope you're doing great, CDR. You're holding spot. Hey, Dreamer, appreciate you. Yeah, so I'm holding spot right now. My Ethereum long, I got stopped out on break even, but entered a little bit afterwards. But again, Ethereum, I think, is a good long still near that 3,700 level. I think 36 to 3,750 is a good long area for Ethereum. And then below that, 3,500 is the next major level. Orestes says, where do you see Bitcoin and ETH making their local bottom? Bitcoin, I could see it making a local bottom between 95 to 99K or 104K. Okay, if 104K closes below the daily, bearish, then yeah, I would look for 95 to 99. And then Ethereum, either 3,700, I would say 3,650 or 3,500. One of those areas. Borjon says long ETH at 3780 TP 4200 or 3780 TP 4200 stop loss 3645. What do you think? I think that your stop loss should be a little bit lower. You probably longed it on higher leverage. I wouldn't long ETH with more than 5x leverage, to be honest with you. And I would have the stop loss. If you can have the stop loss below 3500, that'd be ideal. But at the very least, I would say stop loss at 3570. Nashwan, what's your thoughts about SPX? Probably a short-term pullback. What are the following causes if liquidation is injected because of the Fed? Then we're going to pump. If liquidity is injected because of the Fed, we're going to pump, i.e. quantitative easing. Yeah. DJT owning a lot of Bitcoin. Nerubia says, what's restaking though? Restaking is basically where you say you have Ethereum and you stake it to earn yield. You can actually restake it other places and earn yield in those other places at the same time. But it becomes susceptible to slashing risks, meaning if you have a lot of validators in one pool and one of them is a bad actor, everyone in that pool is losing their Ethereum. So that's the risks of staking in multiple spots. Shogun says, John Luke, what do you think at the end of the month pump could bring a BTC ETH to Sol? I think that the end of the month pump, Bitcoin 116K, Solana probably I would say 210 on Solana, and then Ethereum, I would look for 4,600 on Ethereum. Robin says, do copper gold chart. Hey, appreciate you, Robin. Thanks for the reminder. Okay, let's stop it there on the copper gold chart. Then I'll answer some more questions after I do the charting. So real quick, the S&P 66.64, it closed right here at resistance and support. So again, middle area here, not bullish or bearish. The RSI does look good, crossing to the upside, almost above its signal line. So I do think that, come Monday, let's see if it can close above the signal line. It'll be very bullish on the weekly. But, still, it is still near that top of being overbought. So just keep an eye on that. Next support of S&P is 6,400. For gold, it had a little pullback, little double top here on the RSI weekly. So potentially could see a pullback near 40.70 and then 39.50 and 3,800. So keep that in mind if you're looking to buy gold. And also remember, guys, we had a lot of people standing in line to buy gold. And I mean, that's going to be a top signal right there, right? And so it wouldn't surprise me to see a drop at 40.60 for gold. And then also you have oil futures at 57. Next thing I'm looking for, oil futures at 55. And then also you have DXY. So DXY rejected off of that 99.50 resistance. RSI is curving to the downside again. So what I would look for is some support near 97.50. If DXY falls below 97.50, going to be, some support near 96.70, or 96.90. But I mean, yeah, it's going to be a big drop below if below that. So remember, the DXY is inversely correlated to the Bitcoin. So the dollar strength of the dollar is inversely correlated. So yeah, next support I'm looking for is, it reached it already on the weekly, this 98.20. But let's see where the weekly closes in a few days. I'll keep you guys updated on that as well. Now, looking at the overview of the market for Bitcoin and others. So let's go ahead and refresh. 106.5K with Bitcoin, Ethereum 38.30. Top gainers. Looking at, and I do need to refresh this here, so give me a second. Okay, here we go. Prices are higher, actually. Bitcoin 107.3, but Ethereum 38.76, guys. Ethereum's looking good. BNB 1088, XRP 233. Let's see what the top gainers are. Athena, guys, 44 cents. Athena's coming back. You love to see it. Anytime Ethereum is pumping, Athena is a great beta play to it. Zcash coming back again. Not sure how I feel about that. Usually that could be an impending top signal. IP doing good. Pump doing good again. Tau doing good, 0.9% up. And then where else do we have Knockchain, 145%. Interesting. Knockchain was actually a new, I think it's a new layer 1. But yeah, good to see some price action here from altcoins. Good sign. Now, where's that fear and greed index at? It's at 50. What does this mean, guys? This means that we could see, the potentially more uncertainty here, okay? So that's something to watch out for. But nonetheless, I do think that we could see, this means that there's more, it's more of a coin flip, right? Because yesterday this was at 28, and I said be ready for it to go below 20. It's going to be an amazing buy opportunity. We didn't quite get there, but nonetheless, the fact that it's neutral now means there's still a chance that we could still go higher, okay, for it to get in that greed area. So watch for that. Still keep an eye on that, but that is a good sign tentatively. Now, looking at the ETF flows, okay, so right now ETF flows are negative 530 million for Bitcoin, and then Ethereum had negative 59 million. So that's what I mean with looking at where the institutional flow is going. The fact that Ethereum flows are 10 times less than Bitcoin should show you that institutions are ready to invest in Ethereum, and it's probably going to start its outperformance again, okay? So if you did get stopped out on your Ethereum long, entering another one may not be a bad idea, and then having that stop loss around 35.70. If you could do a low enough leverage, 35, and then have, your first TP at 39.90, second TP at 42.60, third TP at 46.40. Those would be some good levels to watch out for. But that's what I'm watching. But this is a clear sign of where institutional flow is going. It's flowing to Ethereum. It's flowing away from Bitcoin. Could be a good sign in the near future. Now, let's go ahead and look at all those charts, okay? Someone was asking about Ethereum or XRP. XRP resistance at 235. If it can close the daily above 235, I'll look for 260 next, where its 200 EMA is at. Its indicators are looking good. The stock RSI is nearly oversold, where the RSI is looking like it's curving to the upside again, neutral. So definitely keep an eye on that. Also looking at Bitcoin, guys. This is something I wanted to show you guys. Is if you go to the weekly chart, okay? And let's go ahead and remove the drawings here. Look at this. So if we look at these EMAs, okay, let's go ahead and remove the 100 and the 200. This is the 50 weekly EMA. Look at where Bitcoin has bounced in the past. Right here. Bounced off this 50 EMA. Bounced off this 50 EMA. Look in the past here. bounced off this 50 EMA, rejected off this 50 EMA, bounced off this 50 EMA, rejected off this 50. You see what I'm saying, guys? Literally, this 50 EMA is gold. It is gold. And so we nearly bounced off of it at 101.4K, but I would be longing like crazy if we get close to 100K. I would be longing like crazy because it also provides confluence with this 100K level here. Now, I would be longing between 95 to 99K. That's where I'd be longing. That's be my little pocket area, okay? Between this area here. So, guys, be ready. If Bitcoin comes down to 100K, 99K, I'll be longing like crazy on there. Now, looking at the indicators, again, RSI, stock RSI is still curving to the downside on the weekly. Let's see where the weekly closes in 2 days. But if we do have another flush, I already have limit longs down here between 95 to 99K. Now, let's look at other resistance levels currently. So, currently, the next major resistance is going to be 110K. I mean, technically, you could say 108K, actually. So, let's go ahead and... 108K was a big area of contention, okay? So, let's go ahead and put a little line here as well. You can see here, 108K, big area of contention. If Bitcoin can close the daily above 108K, bullish. Then I would start looking for 110K. But if it closes the daily below it, then maybe we could also be looking a little bit lower here. Now, I am getting a phone call, guys, so give me 2 seconds on this, and I will be right back. Hello? Hey, Lily, how you doing? Hey guys, it's gonna be a little bit. I may return before this, but I still have to get to a call, so be back in probably 10 to 15 minutes. right, guys. I am back. All right. How's everyone doing? Had a phone call there, so took a little longer than expected. But let's go ahead and finish this live stream, and then we will take some more questions. So let's see what everyone is saying so far. All right. Is it true that Mr. B's crypto exchange coming to Q4? Not sure about that. If Mr. B's has his own exchange, Aster listed on Robinhood. Yep. Mr. Barantis, now that's a crazy entry in TP on Bitcoin. I would keep it closer than that. Otherwise, you're asking to get wrecked if you're waiting for 125K. Do I see gold make another all-time high this week? It's possible, but it did make a double top on the weekly RSI, so maybe a short-term pullback. So we're actually at 50, Robin, on the Fear and Greed Index now. If you look at CoinMarketCap, it's 50. It may be 28 at other places, though. Hootie says 90% was barren. That position was open 5 minutes before Trump tweeted about China, which is sus, even if I'm wrong. Yeah, it could be barren, or it could just be someone on his advisor team, or someone, you know, there's always things going around, right? Always messages going around. Narubia, yeah, daily close under 100K would definitely worry me. If we do that, then yeah, we're in a bear market for sure. Okay, I'll close the chat box for you guys. Let me see. Okay. Let's see, let me... Is that better, guys? Is that better for the screen? So you can see a little bit more. All right, let's go ahead and check a few other questions. There you go. I'm still back, guys. I'm still back. All right, let's go ahead. And the indicators I use are RSI and stock RSI, and then the 50 EMA, the 200 EMA, and the 100 EMA. So, real quick, I was looking at Bitcoin here. So Bitcoin did drops at 107.2K. If it can close the daily above 108K, it's going to be very bullish. Then we could look for at least 110. Stock RSI looks good. The RSI isn't too bad, but still expecting potentially could curve back to the upside. But again, waiting for this daily close to see what happens. Now, other than that, looking at Ethereum, let's go ahead and pull up that chart. So some big levels for Ethereum to watch is one, at 30, right now it's at 38.67, so a nice bounce above 38.50. If it closes the daily above 38.50, very bullish. But remember, we did bounce nicely off of this bull flag here, so you can see perfectly this trend line support that held at 36.90. Such a great level, guys. This is perfect textbook bouncing from this support turned resistance. Also was resistance back in August 4th, so very good confluence there. Also, we had the RSI starting to curve up. Stock RSI now following this trendline support could curve back to the upside. So again, waiting for that daily to close above 38.50 to maintain that bullish bias and then come up to 40.60. Now below that, next support would be between 36.30 to 36.70. Not a bad area to long. And then if it does close down below that, this trendline support, then I would look for this 3,500 to be good support. If it closes below 3,500, then potentially revisit near these lows of 3,300. So those are the levels I'm watching right now. And then as far as Solana, a big thing there is watching for that 175 support. So remember, it did bounce perfectly off that 175 support. Right now it's 184, still in the middle of no man's land. So something I am watching is one, if it can close back above 192. Now if we do put the 100 EMA and the 200 EMA there, you can see that Solana is right below its 200 EMA on the daily. It is 186. If Solana can't close above that, expecting another drop potentially down to 175, where I would look for a long and then higher. Because if you look, stock RSI is still curving to the downside. The RSI is still in neutral right now, so still could curve back to the upside. But again, still a lot of uncertainty. We're still in the middle of no man's land, so I would wait at the very least to 175. Then if we close below 175 on the daily, I would look for 157. If we close above 192 on the daily, then I would look for 201. Next, let's go and look at Aster, since a lot of people are asking about it. Aster is at 115. The big thing to look for here is that daily close. Can the daily close above 119 in the next 2 hours? We're going to have to see. It's going to be a photo finish, guys. Let's see if it does it. That is my invalidation level for Aster. If it closes below 119, I am getting out of my long positions But this bounce off this trend line support at 102 wasn't bad. But like I said, I hate uncertainty. I hate the price movement on Aster right now. Hopefully we can get above 190 or 119 more so. If not, then it could be the gulag for Aster. So the silver lining here is we do have the 4-hour RSI. You can see here that it did close below, became oversold. Every time it does that, had a nice bounce. So that could happen this same time around. We could have a nice bounce on Aster because that oversold at least up to 127, if not 137. So again, Aster is that coin that you love to hate and you hate to love, but it is, I mean, let's see, guys, right? This is literally the last stand for Aster. If it falls here, it's going to retest 90 cents. And so I'm out of it mostly, but like I said, the daily closed below 119. Stay bearish. If it closes above it, going to be bullish. So waiting for Aster's close on the daily here. Now, let's go ahead and look at, I believe it was gold and copper, and then also Bitcoin and gold. And so let's go ahead and check something out real quick. Let's look at, so we have Bitcoin here. Now let's go ahead and layer on gold, okay? I think it's XAU. New price scale. Let's do, hold on. Let me pick the right one. Give me 1 second, guys. Is it TVC? Yeah, TVC. Okay, here we go. So let's take off these EMAs real quick. Let's make gold yellow. And then let's check the delay, okay? Here we go. So, if we can just see the rise of gold versus Bitcoin, okay? If we look at it, let's say from a weekly perspective. I mean, you can see here, you know, gold rose and then Bitcoin, I mean, basically was this delay from August 11th, September, October, basically 2 months, 2.5 months in, almost 2.5. And so how much does Bitcoin lag gold? That's the big question. I mean, gold has just been on a tear recently, right? And so I'm trying to see here. I mean, it had its drop here, but we should have some catch up here, right? We should have some eventual catch up for gold on Bitcoin. Now, something else, Robin says do the copper gold chart. So let's look at copper. Okay. So copper, and then here we have gold. So now, do you want me to pair copper against gold? All right. Okay, so yeah, so gold versus copper here. I mean, interesting to see. You know, gold, okay, you could see, I mean, the rise is pretty interesting here. It's more or less following it. I mean, once copper had a drop and then gold had a drop. Interesting relation there. Search up copper/gold on Google and open from there. Gotcha. Okay. Okay, I was looking up the Jewish holidays. Let's go ahead and search copper gold. Copper gold ratio, or there's capital.com copper TVC. Okay, let's look at trading view. Okay. Copper/gold. Okay, let me just search that. Interesting. Interesting relationship here. Let's go the weekly. Lunch. Okay. So is this what you're saying is just copper keeps bleeding against gold? Is that the big relationship here? Or is it something even bigger? Very interesting, though. Launch from there, go back to launch. Okay, just send the link in the chat, Robin, if you could. What's going on, Adrian? So I went over Sol already, but I'll go over it again. Basically, the big thing with Sol is if it can close the daily above its 200 EMA, that would be a big deal. So if we go to the daily here, you can see right now Solana is below its 200 EMA. If it can close above it, look for 192. Unless if it rejects the daily below, then I'll look at 175. Oh, top right, it says launch. Got it. Got it, guys. Thank you. Okay. So yeah, similar thing here. Yeah. I mean, it just looks like a big downtrend for copper gold, to be honest. Like, it looks like it's just bleeding like crazy. But the monthly RSI looks to be oversold. Stock RSI is oversold, so maybe copper could start outperforming and gold could start underperforming. Is that the big thing you were pointing out? So, I mean, yeah. I mean, the RSI is almost oversold, so maybe we could see gold start to shift to the downside and copper start to shift to the upside. Very interesting to say the least, though. I mean, you could even have, what, a bullish divergence, or not bullish divergence, but a descending wedge, something like that, right? Break to the upside. Interesting. I mean, if we, technically, if we kind of drag it like that, but yeah, very interesting though, Robin. Yeah, we're close to a bottom for crypto. Appreciate that. Very interesting chart. So I would assume, okay, 1st of April, 2020. Let me go ahead and actually, let me overlay this chart. Let me do it easier. Let me overlay this chart with Bitcoin. So let me take off these EMAs. Let me add Bitcoin. And let's see what we can, let's see how we can do this. New price scale. All right, so Bitcoin here is green. All right, this is the monthly. Let's go and do the weekly. Okay, so whenever copper gold bottomed out here in April of 2020, Bitcoin actually started bouncing. Nice. And then, let's see. Whenever copper bottomed out here again near support, Bitcoin bounced. Very nice. Very, very nice. Okay. I like that. I like that. Let's change this to orange for Bitcoin. I like that. So whenever copper bottoms, we have Bitcoin bouncing. Whenever copper topped, let's go ahead and go over the monthly and actually draw some SR lines real quick. Okay. So whenever copper topped here, Bitcoin topped. Whenever copper gold topped, Bitcoin topped, Bitcoin topped. Wow. Very nice. I like that. I like that. I don't like that it broke through this support level here, honestly. And that's why Bitcoin's been dropping. But if we're looking at it from a strategic indicator perspective, then yes, when copper bottoms soon, it's going to absolutely send. And that would be a nice pump there. Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, appreciate that, Robin. Question for you, Robin. Are you trade Forex a lot? You trade currencies a lot? What's your background? Because you seem to have some good insights. I like it. I always like looking at different pairs, like Sol BTC, ETH BTC, etc. Amara says, how's the divergence in 2022? So 2022 here, we had Bitcoin topping out. Bitcoin topping out here, and then copper topping out here. Same thing. So, why the divergence in 2022? You mean right here? Whenever copper topped in, beginning of 2023 and Bitcoin rose? That is an interesting divergence there. I mean, that's when it really, you could technically say that was the start of the bull market, January of 2023. I think Bitcoin, yeah, bottomed out around 16K before rising. Yeah, Mitsio, good to have you in there. Appreciate that. Good to have you in the group. Yeah, Omar, it could be a strong correlation. We'll have to check that out. Vuzmuzi says check BTC XAU. Let's check that as well. Appreciate the share, Robin. Good stuff. Much appreciated there. Let's check BTC XAU. Okay, oh wow. Yeah, BTC XAU is basically bottomed out right now. Look at that on the daily. Look at that on the daily. Very interesting. RSI, stock RSI. Wow. Yeah, this looks good, guys. BTC XAU looks very good here. Stock RSI and RSI are oversold on the daily. Could be a bottom. It could be the shift here from Bitcoin to gold. Very, very interesting, guys. All right, we'll be watching this. We'll keep an eye on this. Great analysis, everyone. Great analysis. Now, stock RSI, again, is getting close. It's oversold. RSI is not oversold yet, but it is still getting close to that level that it bounced from April of 2025. Awesome. All right, yeah, let's go ahead and do... Okay, let's do a analysis on gold, and then we'll call it for the stream, guys. Let's go ahead and do gold on the 4-hour. I mean, I guess XAU is the same, but I'll actually do TVC. Actually, what is the... There we go. Same thing, but yeah, so extensive analysis on gold on the 4-hour. So here's the thing. You can see the 50 EMA on gold has basically been T-whopping the whole way. Basically just been bouncing off the 50 EMA. So once gold loses this 50 EMA down here at 41.30, then look out below. Okay, so I would look at that. Now if we're having an analysis, I would... I mean, if you're looking for support, like I said, around this 4,100 level, big support for gold. If it breaks that, guys, then we're starting a downtrend for gold, and that could be the beginning of the end for gold and shift over to Bitcoin. So watch that 50 EMA, the 50 EMA on gold. Watch that. If you don't know how to add it, go to your indicators, type in EMA, click moving average exponential. You're going to have a chart come up like this, double click it, and then change the input to 50. And you're good to go. So yeah, watch that, and then below that 40.50 is the next big resistance turn support, and then below that 39.40. So Nerubia says, why the Jewish holidays, man? Because of the, I believe the Rosh Hashanah was around September 22nd, and that was a bearish holiday because basically a lot of them were off of the market and also coincided with the new moon. And then you had the Yom Kippur, which that one correlated with the full moon, and that was near October 1st and 2nd, and I believe we pumped, I want to say we pumped ahead of that, like at the end of September. And so it was all related, like one was bearish, one was bullish, and it was just the way it's correlated. If you look at the past, similar things happened. I don't know exactly why, but there's different reasons for it. That's why I was looking at those. So there's always, moon phases, Jewish holidays, different things you can look at to try to predict the market. But yeah, that's what I was looking at. So no thoughts on Ray currently. I'm not keeping a close eye on that. That one did okay, but the performance wasn't that good. Amar, no, I'm drawing the support levels. So I just press Alt-H on the keyboard, and then it presses them for me. So also, guys, if you are not following me on X, definitely do so at the CryptoData. So I try to post as much good data as I can, check my pinned message, check all the links I have, and just check my post because I post a lot of good things and also keep you guys updated. And so if you haven't followed me at the CryptoData, definitely do so. I have a lot of good content. So myself, and then also if you haven't followed Benjamin Cohen into the Cryptoverse, I'll go and link him in the chat as well. This guy is one of the best macro analysis guys I know. He's very good. And then also Virtual Bacon. He's another good one. Follow him for macro analysis. And then also if you follow the Gym Hunters X account. I mean, that's a no-brainer, but make sure you guys are following the Gym Hunters account. Always provide you guys with the best info as well. Robin says, and funny enough, every time copper has found a low against gold. Interesting. Good to know. Crypto OG says, where can I get blue light glasses? Crypto OG, look on Amazon. Just search blue light amber blocking glasses. I recommend you get amber. Amber blue light blocking glasses. Amber is best. It helps you sleep better. It helps you have a deeper sleep, get more in REM sleep. Trust me, it's very, very good. I think the brand I have is by Schwick. Here, let me show you guys real quick. One sec. It's Swan. Okay, Swan Wick is the brand. Swan Wick Amber blue light blocking glasses. Copy paste that into Google. Swanwick Amber blue light blocking glasses. Amber tint, guys, it's super good. Wear them at night, an hour before bed when you're on the computer. You'll be good to go. Hey, no problem, Barantes. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Robin says we've had a massive bull run for the economy and for all the coins, of course. Exactly. Good to know with that copper gold relationship. Appreciate you sharing that. And crypto in general, as you can see, this happened in 2013. It happened in 2017 and 2021. Good to know. We'll definitely keep an eye on that, Robin. Again, guys, I love all of you. I appreciate all of you watching. If you haven't liked the video or liked the stream, please like it. It is much, much appreciated. Also, if you haven't followed me on X at the CryptoData, definitely do so. Check my pinned message. Check all of my recent messages. I try to give you guys the best content I can, and I really do appreciate the support, guys. Means the world. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Hope you guys got some value out of it. Sorry for the 15, 20-minute delay. I got a phone call I had to take, but I will be back for tomorrow. There will be a lesson I will have on my fundamentals and macro analysis and exactly what I look for and how I analyze the market that way versus just the technicals where a lot of people are familiar with me there. So hope you guys will enjoy that as well. That should be at, I think, 2 p.m. CST. I'll have that in the free group. 2 p.m. CST. Check for that. But thank you guys so much. Love you guys. Have a great weekend. Talk soon.